Tell me when now. Hi. A lot of you haven't met me. My name is Kimberly. I wrote some stuff down because I figured I might forget some things. But I'm Kimberly Gomez. I've sent you those emails for 1 to 2 years now. For many of you, this is your first time meeting me. Hi, Senator Carter. I've met Senator Carter before. And I haven't filmed in a long time, so I was a little nervous. For those of you who received my emails, I want to tell you thank you. It entailed all of my journals. I want to also tell you that I'm a mother looking at 1 year in jail for bringing her children to school. As many of you know, I am being barred from my children's schools, not because a crime has been committed. I was just told to get off, pretty much get off the campuses. And when I asked the Cobb County Police for assistance, hi, Chief Hauser, pretty much they did question the campus officers as to why. Dennis Moore was the campus officer, they were putting me off. And he said because he could, because he felt like it, and because some of the Booster Club ladies didn't like me. On August 2012, the first day of school, as many of you know, I walked my 6-year-old and my 8-year-old in the front office of their school, Sedalia Park Elementary School, Lower Roswell Road, Marietta, Georgia. I had all 5 of my children with me then. My oldest was not with me. I will explain why later. And a warrant was issued for my arrest. That warrant was written as a favor for the school principal, who was barring me from my children's schools. A friend and a relative of the school principal, Dorothy Robinson, let me remind you, is an elected official, wrote the warrant. I did suffer false arrest and false incarceration. I was then assigned a state's attorney, Kevin Rogers. Hi, Barry, if you see this, please let Kevin know that you definitely saw the video, who then told me when I went to court with him that it was a red state. When I told him I hadn't committed a crime, he said, even though I haven't committed a crime, he said it was a red state, and they were just gonna assign me a crime or give me one. So he said, asked me what type of charge would I take, and I told him none. He then told me, well, have it your way. I'm not gonna tell you when your next hearing is. I thought he was kidding, because that would be very unethical. Well, he did. He didn't tell me when the next hearing was. I suffered false arrest and false incarceration. I believe Toby Progers wrote that warrant then. If you noticed the difference in my children's hair, which I will show you my children in this video later, in my hair, I had to cut my hair off because, I'll let you see, because I suffered a lot of hair loss. I still have hair loss here, and most of it has filled back in, but I might have to shave it again, just from the stress and the strain of this whole matter. I never fathomed that somebody would arrest me for taking my kids to school. Not only that, that would commit open fraud, framing. I spent my whole life priding myself on never committing a crime, on having a perfect license and a perfect record. Well, somebody just decided they were going to go ahead and commit fraud against me and frame me for a crime anyway. So that was a very slap in my face. Excuse me for a moment. I'm going to flip my page here. I suffered false arrests in Marietta, Georgia, Cobb County, Georgia. And yes, I walked my kids in school, 6-year-old and 8-year-old, 2012. I want to say it was August 13th, to sign them in the office, and went to jail for that. I was then told during that first court hearing, one of the solicitors handed me a paper and said, well, we want you to go take a psychological evaluation. I said, I saw where that was going. I said, I don't think so. She looked at me like, who was I to challenge her? She's an elected official. But I looked at her like she had lost her mind, because there was no way she was going to try to medicate me, because that's where that was headed. Now, the reason a lot of you are seeing this video is to show you I'm fully sane. I'm very capable. I have all my scribbles about me. Hi, Wendy from the Dave Thomas Foundation. I want to say hi to you. And I'm Mitch. As you see, I'm in the hotel lobby. This is kind of the cafe area. Having this filmed here because, or videotaped here because, well, you know, it's a little crowded and stuff in the room, and I figured the kids are going to make a lot of noise, but I want you to see who I was after all this time, and I do apologize it took so long. But you can't blame me for challenging the solicitor when she says you need to go take a psych eval after I walk my 6-year-old, who are minors by the way, 8-year-old, in the front office to sign them in, which is normal procedure. Now there is paperwork. When I suffered the first issuance of the citation telling me I couldn't come back on the campuses anymore, that it would be a criminal trespass, that pretty much stated that I could bring the kids in, sign them in, because what I did is when Alice Stouter wrote that paperwork up, I said, Alice, let's be real, the kids gotta go to school. I gotta sign them in the office. So she said, well, this is true. We can't stop you from signing the children in. They have to go to school. So I went, I followed the stipulations. I will show you the modification letters once we get back upstairs and get that information when I show you the children. And just that. Now, for many of you, I don't know if you're writing letters regarding me. You haven't seen me. So I'm sure some of you are like, I've been receiving these emails for 1 to 2 years now. I don't even know who this woman is. Well, now you know who I am. You see me. I'm sure I look worn and tired. I am. This has been very stressful, a big strain. It has been a drain for my kids. We don't like staying in a hotel, Mitch. We don't. We don't like staying here, all of you legislators. If you were involved in abusing me, then I would question your ethics. You also know, many of you, that when I was barred from my kids' school, my daughter Mai, very sweet girl, 16 years old, suffered sexual assault. She did. And we're not going to sugarcoat that. Anytime you bar a parent from a school system, children will be injured. And the whole intent of barring any parent from the school system would only be to gain custody of those children. And after a while, after this kept on going on, and I was like, they're kidding me, right? I'm in America, and they're telling me that I cannot bring my children to school. I said, something funny's going on here. Then I figured out, oh, they want my kids. So they proceeded to isolate me from my children and then start whispering to my children, trying to brainwash them. Said, your mother's crazy, she's a criminal. Told my 16-year-old that I was a dirty black nigger. Told my landlord's wife to call me up and call me a dirty black nigger, and told me to get out of their house that I was renting from them. Hey, Greg Kirshner. I rented from Greg's, one of the houses that he was property manager for. And Greg, we are resolving that on my credit. There is a judgment on my credit, but Greg, we also know that happened as a result of, I won't necessarily say you, but some of the managers in your property who were actually violating my civil rights and barring me from housing in the East Cobb community, with those same school officials who were attempting to bar me from the county and the community of schools there, all got together in the neighborhood. I lived in a pretty much a cul-de-sac where it was predominantly white, and my family and I were the only interracial family. And my neighbors told me that, you know, pretty much they wanted to push me out because my family was interracial. Well, I thought that a little unusual because I grew up in the state of Connecticut. And, you know, a lot of us don't see color there. And people say, oh yeah, don't try to say there's no racism in the North. Possibly there is some. But I have to say, I have not had it the way I've experienced it in East Cobb and some of the schools there. I did speak to an attorney when I was first going through this, and he had said to me it was the area that I was in. And he said for years he tried to change that particular area, but he had a very difficult time changing the mentality. But I think they perceive me as a threat to that culture and that environment there, where when you walk into those schools and you're a minority, you better be intimidated and you better be afraid. But I never understood why I would have to be afraid until I began to understand, as my 16-year-old told me, Mommy, they know police, they know judges. They can make it really hard for you. And I thought, this is America. And no, none of our courts would do that in America. They would never do it in the state of Connecticut. I'm so sorry I have to defend the state of Connecticut. I'm trying to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. Let me see, is a bad word, we know that. The plan to gain custody of my children, I wanted to say to Wendy and the Dave Thomas Foundation, I know that, you know, Dave Thomas does fund the foster care system. When I was barred from the campuses, Wendy, that citation was issued with the understanding that I would spend 1 year in jail. Now, I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to jail for 1 year for taking my children to school. But when I began to see that fraudulent letters were written, there were two teachers, Mr. Fitzgerald And the gym teacher, I forget his name, it was Mr. Weir, the music teacher. I would try to get my kids out of my van to walk them across, to bring them to the school crossing guard, to walk them into school. Well, Mr. Fitzgerald and Mr. Weir used to stand in front of me. I want to say this to United States Attorney General Arnie Duncan. Hey, Professor Gates. I haven't gotten to see Professor Gates, but he's received my emails as well at Harvard. I'm going to also be sending this to President Obama. But they were barring me, and I remember complaining to the Secretary of Education, Secretary Arnie Duncan. Hello, Secretary Duncan, and anyone very important that I've missed. Hello to all of you. They were barring me, and I couldn't understand. They're pretty much like a barricade, and telling me that I couldn't bring my children into school. So I started filing a lot of civil rights and education complaints. Hey, Carol Kennedy, I haven't seen Mrs. Kennedy. I used to talk to her on the phone when I filed my complaints. But then after that, a letter of slander was written saying that I cursed out teachers and that I was aggressive, and pretty much, you see, they're all lies. They're all lies, but I am in danger because of Toby Progers, who was an elected official. And I'm sure, Toby, if you see this, you're sitting on that bench. We elected you. We entrusted you with our communities. And maybe you figure, oh, I don't have Ms. Gomez's vote. Well, you would want my vote because I'm the kind of person, I can rally a nation, especially when it comes to the safety of my children. My children have been jeopardized. Their safety has been consistently put at risk, and I'm not happy about that at all. And I wanted to say to you, Toby, when your own government challenges you and tells you, we're going to infringe upon your freedoms, that's when you say, whoa. Now, whether they were using judges to intimidate me, I don't think that would work with me because I don't commit crimes and I'm not a criminal. Even when fraud had to be committed against me, that's the only way you would have gotten me in courtroom. You would have gotten me in cuffs. You would have gotten me in chains, doing the jail walk. I've never did it in my life, but I did it in Cobb County, Marietta, Georgia. Was via fraud. I just don't commit them. Even when you put me in the jail, you expected me to be, oh, I'm mad now. I'm the mad black woman. Look what happened to me. This ain't fair. Hey, life isn't fair, but I will just tell you this. You do not willingly infringe upon someone's rights. I don't care what color they are. These are human beings. So I wouldn't sit and sulk because there's something going on in this world everywhere where it's not fair. But what happens is, if you see it's going on, I would say to anyone, you take a stand and you stand up for what is right and you stand up for justice. And like my government teacher told me in high school, Mr. Gaynor was his name, and he was an attorney. He said, Kim, sometimes a lot of minorities will get mad and they'll go commit a crime. That's what, Toby, that's maybe what you expected. That's what Jennifer Lawson, hi Jennifer, expected. Oh, well, she's a minority, she's gonna commit a crime. She's Hispanic, she's white, she's gonna commit a crime. I'm many things, I'm very culturally diverse. I have my father's mother who is Navajo, Irish, and West Indian. So I'm many, many cultures. So point being is, I would have never allowed that to make me angry. But when it came to someone harming my children, denying them medical, denying them food, and I did speak to the Department of Family and Children Services today regarding that. So I'll check on that again tomorrow to see if everything's in the clear. Then I'm stepping up. When it comes to somebody saying, well, we're gonna go ahead and take advantage of your daughter because this is private jurisdiction and we can do whatever we want to your children and bar you while we're hurting them. Oh no, I think that's when a mother says, I don't think so, not in my country, not on my land, not on my soil. So we don't elect our officials to abuse their authority, to abuse their positions of authority, and to abuse their citizens. But hopefully I have covered everything. So yes, I am a mother who went to jail for taking her children to school in the United States of America. And that is nothing but the truth and the whole truth. So what I would say to you, am I bitter? No. I hope you all had a happy holiday. Continue to pray for me. You will see me again. I'm gonna continue to talk to you, videotape. Hopefully you have seen that I don't lack intelligence. I did study mass communications. So although earlier on in this video I was a little nervous, that has kind of settled down. I've done public service announcements. I've done modeling. I've done advertising, film. I've done quite a bit. I've done newscasting. Long story short, I do have a voice. And I just wanted to tell you thank you. That's what I can tell you for now. And if I've forgotten anything, you'll see me again. I'll create another video. But what I want to say from my heart of hearts, I am so grateful to all of you for receiving my emails, for listening. And even there's times when I've forgotten to erase some of your addresses because I was so exhausted, you know, from fighting the battle for my kids, making sure that my daughter Morgan was lost a lot of time in her education from all of this racial hatred, because that's the only thing that we're going through. When you see my kid, you see my hair compared to their hair. Trust me, I catch it all the time. I've had white women say, well, you can't have those kids. I've had Asians say, well, you can't have those kids. They're mine. I carried all of them. And we don't see difference between hair texture, skin color. My kids are very like a rainbow. My oldest daughter, she catches it all the time because her hair is almost bone straight and it's very thick and coarse. Most people think that black hair or kinky hair is coarse, but it's not. It's very fine strands and tightly curled. And I wanted to say hey to Horace Burton too. The sky's the limit. He's received my emails for quite some time too. And I also wanted to say, by this time, Toby, maybe you, Lisa, Jennifer, Kevin, wanted to have driven me crazy. Well, that can never happen because I have pride. Because I created my children. They weren't mistakes, they're beautiful. I love being a mother, and I have pride in my land, in my country, and I will die for my rights and my freedom. I have no problem doing it. And I don't care if my governor is corrupt, if the judges are corrupt. I'm standing for justice. I'm not tolerating it. I'm fighting back. And I'm gonna let y'all know, I'm for Senator Jason Carter. He was very inspiring to me. He invited to me one of his social events. He shook my hand. He came in very appropriately. I've met some of those others who backed him, and I wanted to say, I think he's gonna go a long way. Governor Deal, hello, I do apologize. I didn't say hello to Governor Deal. He is our governor. Governor Deal, I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in you. You have not shown yourself to have held high morale, high standards. Maybe some elected officials think that when they're elected, that they can take that and they're the leader and they can do whatever they want. But to be an elected official, to hold the position of a governor or as a judge, it's an honor. It's an honor because your community trusted you to serve no matter what color, no matter what race, no matter what hair texture. I should not have to be in a hotel. I don't like it. I'm paying an astronomical amount that I cannot afford. I don't have a job. I've had to ask for donations, a lot of them. I've had to, maybe some people call it begging. I don't consider it begging, but for the kids' sake, I've had to ask. I don't want them in filth. I know families that are living not too far from here in other motels where there's prostitutions, there's drugs. I could not put my children in that environment. I've had Department of Children, Family, Social Workers, Governor Deal come in and say, oh, you got your kids here, what are you doing? Are you a prostitute? How are you affording this? I'm gonna tell you something. I made it day to day by the grace of God, every single day. And part of that was not committing a crime, even though crimes were being committed against me. Not hating, even though I was being hated. Not terrorizing, not being violent, even though I was terrorized and violence was committed against me. Cops came to intimidate me with chains and guns and bulletproof vests, and I couldn't back down because I had a family to protect. I had my American rights to protect, my American civil rights, and no one has a right to take that from any of you, know that, and you have to be willing to die for them. I wore chains for those civil rights, and I'll tell you what, if I had to wear them again to protect my children, you best believe I will. God bless, and I'll show you with the kids next time. Take care.